I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And I was like, I don't have the answers. I can just do what I can do now. Looking back now, I'm like, I might have done too much that took care of other people and not enough for myself at that time. There's a lot of things that come with being an entrepreneur that are not fun and not for everyone.
Another episode of the 1% Podcast coming at you live. I'm your host, Vin End.
And I'm Shane.
And today we're joined by my friend Celeste. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We are thrilled to have you here, me included. So I met you through a mutual friend of ours, and we got to chatting a little bit, and you were telling me about all of the phenomenal things that you're doing and the business that you've grown. And I was like, oh my God, you have to be on this podcast. We have to dig into this, and I need to know everything. So Celeste, today, this show is all about you. Can you give us the rundown of who you are, what you're doing, what you've built, and what you're excited about?
Yes. Well, I'm Celeste. I was born and raised in LA. I'm the founder of a company called Viper. And really what we do, the most digestible version, is premium event staffing and hospitality logistics. So we work with a lot of big enterprise brands and celebrity brands, and we just improve their guest experience from top to bottom. So that could mean that a beauty brand is demoing products somewhere. It could mean that a celebrity is having a birthday. It could mean that an NFL team has a game. Anything across the board, we just improve the guest experience from the moment the guest walks in to the moment they leave. We do all the staffing, all the hospitality behind the scenes. So that's a little bit about us. And then, yeah, for me, I grew up in LA. I'm first generation. My mom was born and raised in India. And so, yeah, my whole life, I feel like I've just been figuring out ways to make it work. And that's kind of how we got to now.
I got a million questions just for so many reasons. I go to a lot of events, and I'm really cutting back because I hate going to events. But I'm cutting back, and one of the things that I noticed is so many events suck. Like, they are just not good experiences. Some events are mass plays where you're packed in like sardines, and then the networking is your experience of like, hey, how's it going? Who are you? What do you do? I hate that. And then you got these other things where like there's no flow. What can you tell me from your experience? What makes a good event? Like, what makes it that you've become this top event, staffing agency, creating these things? Like, how did you rise to the top? What set you apart?
Well, those two answers are a little bit different, but I'll give you my two cents on what I think makes a good event. And it's just my personal opinion. I think it comes down to programming. I don't love going somewhere and it's like, okay, enjoy your night. You're on your own, and then you have to go network and make small talk and like figure it out on your own. Like that to me feels like a cheap way of throwing an event. So I love programming. I love like when people are like, we have icebreaker questions, or we have set up this dinner, or we placed you all strategically, or, things like that. I'm like, yes, you're speaking my language. Cause I feel like that was intentional. So for me, programming makes a good event. Well-designed programming. And then on the other side, how did we rise to the top and what did we do is we like really doubled down on just like precision and hospitality. So when we started, it was always, there was just this ethos in LA, especially of being very exclusive. And so the vibe when you would go to an event or a nightclub was almost like they didn't want you there. And that was kind of the thing, it was like, no, you can't come in, or, are you on the list and whatnot. And we really flip that on its head. And we're not like that at all. We're actually like a very friendly team across the board. It's built into the ethos of our company. It's very important to me that everyone's very like warm. So we really like focus on delivering really good hospitality. And I get these like text messages all the time. Oh my God, I met your staff. They were amazing. Oh my God, I don't know how you do this. I want to bring you guys on for this. And how do you find these people and whatnot? But really it's built into who we are, and we're very hands-on. Like we are not the type of company that's like, oh yeah, we'll take this on and then we don't pay any attention and you just get random staff at your event. We don't do that at all. We're like a little too hands-on. At 4 a.m. I'm like waking up. I'm like, did we do that? And we're like very, very on everything. We have visibility on everything. So I think we just over deliver. We care a lot about the experience. So that's something that really sets us apart, and you can see it. Like eventually you guys will come to some of our events when you're in LA. and you can really experience the difference.
I'll be in
Can't
LA in
wait.
a few weeks, actually.
There you
Um, I what you said though is really crucial because your relationship building. That's
go.
the most important part about networking in general. And when your staff, provide an actual good environment, and even more, if you strategically place high networking, net worth individuals, I want to come back. Like, oh,
Mhm.
this is Celeste event. I'm flying in. Like, let's go. This sounds amazing. So, what's your background? How'd you get into this and why?
That question. So I honestly the way it happened is a hilarious story. So I grew up in LA and just all throughout like my junior senior year, I was always working. I worked at Menchie's, which is like a frozen yogurt spot, and I was
Mm,
tutoring and whatnot. And so when I was 17, I had just graduated school and I had turned 18. I wanted to be a librarian. But apparently you need a degree in library science. This was news to me at the time. Like I was just walking into libraries asking for applications, and where I had lived at the time was at this was in West Hollywood, and I was like, okay, well, if the library won't hire me, let me just pop on over to see what's nearby. And so I literally walk in to which what used to be like a restaurant and bar called Hyde, and I got hired as a hostess there. And then at the same time, simultaneously while working there, I was applying for internships, and I applied for an internship for like a nightlife promotional company. So I
mm,
basically worked during the day at a nightlife promotional company and then work at night at different restaurants. Hyde was one of them. Sir was one of them. Pink Taco was one of them. And I was just always a hostess. And so when I would intern for free and they would throw these big events and put me at the front door and I was making $0, I was like, oh, maybe I could bring some of my hostess friends and you could give us $50 and we could sit at the front door of your event. And they were like, yeah, no. And so I just started telling people that would have parties. I'm like, hey, if you're gonna have a party, I can bring a couple girlfriends and we'll stand at the front door and we'll check all your guests in. We'll do like mobile hostessing because that's what I was doing at restaurants. So that's actually how we started. It was very accidental. It wasn't like planned or anything like that. And the way I incorporated was because when these eventually like production companies started hiring us for these events, and I would be sitting there doing all of my friends' W-9s, like filling all of them out, because we're all like 19 and I'm like trying to figure out everyone's W-9. And then I would like sit on my floor and like write checks out and mail them. And it was just so ridiculous. So I decided to incorporate. Found a lawyer off Yelp, and that was how we originally started. And then now we've, obviously grown a little bit, but that was how we got started.
That's
I
so
mean,
intuitive.
yeah, I think the you have an entrepreneur mindset here. I still you saw something and then you just went for it. And then you're like, I see something here. I'm just going to get incorporated. This was a mistake. We learned from here. This was amazing. Let's double down on this. Like all those steps, even I don't want you to underplay it because that's really what got you to where you are today.
Mhm.
That's the 1%. It's
Yeah.
what people don't understand. It's a mindset. You saw
Mhm.
an opportunity and you took it. Like that's a lot of people don't have that.
Right.
So that's good to hear. So do you do events all over the world? Do you do events
Mhm.
strictly in LA?
I all over the world is definitely a goal. We're all over the US. So our biggest, I would say our biggest like what's the word I'm looking for? Like our most street cred is in LA. That's where we're like known the most. But
Yep.
we've been growing very rapidly in Miami, very rapidly in New York. All my summer events are in New York for some reason. Vegas, Dallas has been good to us. Georgia. I'm trying to think of, places like that are like growing markets for us. I would love to expand into London, the south of France in the summer. I actually have somebody coming into town next week from China that's interested in like a Viper Shanghai play. So we're not international yet, but I think it's in the cards for us as like the brand grows for sure.
Can,
I'm I'm in for your New York events. Count me in.
Okay,
I,
great. Good to know. I mean, I know you hate events, so I have to like work towards changing that, and
It's
we'll do that.
it's okay. If it's in New York, I'll go. If I could just drive there, I'm fine. If you're like, hey, fly to Vegas for this event, I'll be like, we'll see, maybe.
I'm with you.
Vin hates bad events. Vin will go to good events.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Okay,
true.
so I need to paint the picture here. So, because we throw President's Club for my team, I
Mhm.
have hundreds of employees, and we do like this year we're renting out a yacht and we're doing this whole thing overseas. Um, so I'm curious, what's the difference between an event planner
Mhm.
or a party planner And like, are you actually going A to Z, or like, can you walk me through what exactly you do just
Yeah.
so I can get a better picture?
This is a good question, actually, because a lot of people don't know the difference. So, someone who is a party planner or an event planner, they are overseeing the whole thing, all the
Right.
moving parts, right? They are bringing in the flowers. They are figuring out where guests are going to park. They're
Mhm.
bringing in the DJ, all the moving parts, the catering company, everything. They know everything that's going on. We are just a vendor of theirs. So a party planner would call us when they need, girls to manage the front door, or they need brand ambassadors to hand out gifts, or cocktail servers, or anything like that. I say girls because we used to be an all-female team, but actually we are both genders now, so we are male and female staffing. But so anything like that that's like staff, they would call us then. And a common question we get all the time is like, "Oh, will you guys eventually start doing the whole events?" And the answer is no, just because I despise that job. Like, it's just not a job for me. I can't do it. I
Stressful.
love what I do. Hate that
Yeah.
job.
Stressful.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
man, I'm not the person for it.
Yeah. That makes crystal clear sense. So you're essentially providing the bodies, the people that are there.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
makes crystal clear sense.
and if yeah, and there's like a deeper component too. If somebody was, throwing a big event, we do like all the operations behind it. Like, for example, if we did a pop-up bottle service operation at a horse race track, which is
Oh,
actually very insane when you think about it, because the way the track is set up, it's like it's stadium seating. So moments like that, where it's an entire operation behind the scenes, it's a POS, it's running food and drinks, it's taking inventory, it's all of that. So
Mm.
that's what we do. That's like our operational side, and that's why we have a deal with SoFi Stadium, because we come in and we take care of all of that. And then yes, on like a base level, it's the staffing.
I'm assuming you network too.
Yeah.
Assuming that's like the name of your business, and the name of like how you actually grow is going to these actual events and people finding out who you are. Oh, you're kind of running the show here. So yeah, let me get your information. Let me use you. I mean, it's kind of a winning model here. Like, how do you lose for something like that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's really a fascinating thing though. I love it because you, ever since you started, you just identified a need and
hmm
you figured out, like, you almost actually I don't even know if you identified a need. You almost even manufactured a problem for some people. You're like, "Oh, you're hosting an event. Well, who's the girls that are going to be at the door?" It's like, "Well, I don't think we need you need the girls at the door. We could do it. We got a girl." And like,
Yeah, that's so funny.
that's
I used to say
right.
that all the time when we first started. I was like, because we would get that feedback a lot. Like, there's no need for it. And I was like, I will invent the need for it. Like,
Mm,
and we honestly did, because when we started, which I say started, but this is again when I was like 18, 19, like playing around with things. So this was like 2017. And it was just bouncers. Like, it was like bouncers at the door. So I guess technically, yeah, there was no need for it. There were bouncers, you'd hire security and whatnot. But I was like, yeah, this process kind of sucks. Like, let's work on that. And that was how we originally started.
That's awesome.
what's like the breakdown of everything as far as what you cover, as far as hosting, waiting, bartending? It sounds like even bouncing,
Mhm.
um, valeting. I mean, what's the list here?
No valet, but yes, hosting, all encompassing guest list management, which could be like RSVP management leading up to the event. The brand ambassadors, the waitresses or the cocktail servers, the bartenders, security. We also offer like UGC, which is like a fun component for a lot of our brands. They get like digital
Mm.
creators as well. It's
Hmm.
our same team. Um, and then I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And then we do hospitality consulting as well. So if someone has like a venue or a stadium, this is like what we do with SoFi. We can come in and like build out their VIP hospitality programming. But as far as the staffing, it's mostly just those services.
So I'm always curious about this. I'm a little bit of a guy that likes psychology.
hmm
So with that being said, I'm always curious when I'm faced with entrepreneurs such as yourself, how or what did it take for you to really develop this mindset of becoming a successful entrepreneur, successful business owner, like what did it take to get there? What were some of the maybe strategies or hacks? Like when things would go wrong, what would you say to yourself? Like just give me a little bit of a rundown of it all.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was a lot of it was sheer necessity because, I grew up with just me and my mom. And like I mentioned, my mom's an immigrant. So I do come from humble beginnings. So as I was getting older, which was like, my junior year, my senior year, and I'm working at Menchie's and I'm working at, I'm tutoring on the side or whatever. And then I get an internship because I couldn't afford college. And I'm like working this internship, and they already had me doing the door, they already had me sitting there checking guests in, but they're not paying me. But at this time, like I moved out at 18, I moved out of the house as well. So there was just like a sheer necessity for money to come in. Like I just did not have the choice. There was just no other option. And I
Mm,
did what I had to in terms of like picking up other jobs. Like I mentioned, like I was working at multiple restaurants and stuff, but I really pushed hard on this because I was like, well, I'm already doing this anyway. So if we can just add some money to it, that would be really helpful. And I wouldn't say that it was just about the money. Like I don't want to frame it that way either, because it definitely was not. But when I was an intern and I was working for that job, and my boss was not great, and it was kind of like my first experience into like working like a corporate job. Although at the time it was not corporate. Like today, corporate has rules. You can't say things that they used to say to us back in the day. But it wasn't a great environment. And I kind of realized at that time, I'm like, I am just like unemployable because I am so common sense. Like, I just love common sense. I love a logical answer that saves
Mm.
time and makes sense. And there was so much red tape all the time. I mean, I was running into the like things that I was like, this is so dumb. And I really think for me, there was just no other option. I was like, this has to work because I quite frankly do not have any other choices. I will blow my brains out at a corporate job. And yes, we're gonna do this, and that was it for me. So I just kept finding a way. I was like, well, we'll have to find a way then, all the time. And that's like kind of like still what I do. It's like I don't know about this. I'm like, we're gonna have to find a way.
Okay, I want to change up the questions here that we always ask towards the end, but I think it's relevant for what you just said. And what's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten? Because I feel like just right there, we'll find a way. I got to figure it out. I'm not going to do a corporate job. I'm going to make this work. Like those are all amazing. So I'm just curious, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever heard?
It's hard to say best because there is so much good advice, but like something that I live by and that I have to remind myself constantly is regret is mindless. And I really believe that because there's so many times where I'm like, damn, I made a mistake, or I didn't do that well, or I failed, or I lost money, which has happened more times than I'd like to admit. And I always tell myself that I'm like, regret is so mindless. Like it doesn't
Mm.
change where you're at. It taught you a lesson that maybe you needed, and maybe it made you who you are today in some way. And you can spend all your time thinking, oh, I should have gone to college, or I should have done this, or I should have done this,
Mm.
but it's like it's so mindless.
I
And
like
so
that a lot.
yeah, I always come back to that, honestly, and it saves me time because I'm like, you know what, I can adjust and I can move forward. I can change my process and I can get better. And sometimes I'll like yell at myself first, but then I'll do that, and that really has like helped me a lot.
you have a very strong mindset, and I
Like,
could say that as somebody with a little authority on it. Um, because the way that you view things is like one half of a perspective, right? You have this perspective of like I need to get it done because you said you were driven by pure necessity, right? But the interesting thing is there's other people that should be driven by pure necessity,
Mhm,
but they're not. They
mhm,
stay broke. They repeat generational scarcity.
mhm.
They become homeless. They like I don't know what's within you, but
Yeah,
there's something powerful in there.
yeah,
And it's obvious that your drive takes you very far. Um, I know that you also like have this big heart. You said it, right? Like it's the core foundation of your ethos. I obviously know that that's probably not just the piece of your company, right? In this ethos to care, to show up. What do you really care about in this world? Like what's the genuineness of your heart? How are you inspiring not just through your company, but
yeah.
how are you inspiring growth and building in this world?
Yeah. I think like a big thing for me and a big goal for me is like I want to show other people that you can think independently and like you can actually just like be a kind person and like still get things done. And that's something that I try to do with Viper too, because with Viper, most people who work for me, they're going to be part-time or they're going to be like on a contracted basis because it's events, right? Like sometimes it's going to be really busy, sometimes it's not. And so what I've done is I've tried my best, and I'm still working on it, to create this world where it's like, it's not your standard 9 to 5. It's not your standard you don't need a college degree for it. Like these are all kind of my beliefs that I've pushed into it because I want to like open a portal essentially of like there might be another way. It might not be college.
Mm.
It might not be a 9 to 5. It might be like I work for Viper on the side and I book these events and then I also do something over here. And like I've kind of, if anyone ever like asks me like, oh, do you have connections here? I try to connect dots for people. But really what it is, and like the thing that I think has been the most helpful for me is like that I do think independently. And I try to push that narrative because I just think it's really helpful. I don't think people always know that there's like something else exists, And that was something I realized when I got older too, was like, oh, it's not that people don't necessarily want something else. I don't think they always know that it's possible. Maybe now with social media, but like when I was growing up, like I didn't have TikTok or even Instagram wasn't what it is today. So I think
Yeah.
that was a big part of it. Like I don't think people always know that you don't really have to follow these like made up rules that we all follow.
You think most people just kind of go into this fear mindset and take like a 9 to 5 job? Because I mean, listen, what you're describing sounds scary as hell. Even
Yeah.
to me as an entrepreneur, like you're like, hey, just take a bunch of part-time things and kind of figure out these different hustles. And I'm like, holy crap, I don't even want to do that.
I know. No, I know. Honestly, no, I don't think everyone should do it. I will be crystal clear on that. Like, I also love a 9 to 5 if you want stability and benefits and you want to climb the corporate ladder or you don't want to have to sell. Like, if you don't want to have to sell, by all means 9 to 5. Like I have to sell to stay alive, it's not always ideal. So I definitely love the 9 to 5 for that. There's a lot of things that come with being an entrepreneur that are not fun and not for everyone. So it's not, I also don't think we need to like glamorize. Some people really glamorize being a founder. I'm like, it has its ups and downs. For me, I will say like, and I say this all the time, I would take less money and be an entrepreneur versus taking more money and working for someone else or working
Why?
for just
Why?
because I value autonomy over my time and my life over everything. And that's the most
That's
important thing.
amen. That's the
Yeah.
answer right there. That's
Yeah.
the difference between you and the 9 to 5 is you can do whatever you want with your time. Time's the most valuable commodity to you, and you're
100%.
willing to risk everything to keep your time.
A hundred
People who
percent.
aren't are that's totally fine. That's your mindset. You want to play it safe. You want to grow this. That's totally fine. But I want my time back to do
Yeah.
whatever the hell I want to do.
Yep, exactly. And I stand on that. Like I 100% stand on that. And so, which is kind of funny because when you're building a business, you have no time because you have to like hustle so much. But then eventually you get to a place where you do. And like now I'm like, it might be 3 p.m. on a Tuesday and I might be at the park with my dog. You never know, because like it just depends. And sometimes it's not like that. Like I did a 3 week stint with festival season, or not 3 weeks, it was 4 weeks, back to back. I'm driving to the desert left and right. Like selling my soul to these events. It's not always like that, but sometimes it is. So for me, it's just the autonomy of time, 100%.
And tell me this, because I'm curious. Every founder at some point has some sort of a massive issue where it's like, this might be it. Maybe we got to close the business. I don't know if I could do this. Or it's like, we're right on the verge of victory. What was that really difficult moment for you that you've had thus far in the journey that you really had to figure out?
Oh, man. I've had plenty. But there 2 years, a little over 2 years ago. So actually, fun fact, I used to have a co-founder. And 2 years ago when I did buy her out of the business and she just had some like lifestyle changes. But when it came at a very bad time, I would say. And we were already kind of in a bad situation that we had been getting into for like months at a time, just because like I think life was changing for her and there it was an elephant in the room. So, anyways, one thing led to another and we got ourselves in a very bad place. And then I had to buy her out of the business, which took everything I had. I mean, like emotionally, financially, everything, to the point where I literally was like, I do not have 50 cents for you right now. Like my hands are tied. Not only like my hands are tied, I'm like underwater and there's like a shark swimming at me. Like it was everything, from every direction. And so I had to figure out getting out of that business with like immediate needs that had to happen, which was like paying our vendors and our rent and our office and everything and our staff, buying her out, paying our legal fees, navigating a world without a co-founder, breaking that news to our team, changing things. I mean, it was a really crazy time. I like don't even know how I got through it. Honestly, I really don't. And obviously, we did, but that was like a pivotal moment. And trust me, I wasn't sleeping. I mean, it was definitely, it takes a toll on you. It took everything from me.
How'd you figure it out?
That is the question.
Time.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. I think I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And I was like, I don't have the answers. I can just do what I can do right now. And that's it.
Mm.
So I'll just do the next right thing, and also I'm like a very fair person. So I was trying to make everyone happy, which I wouldn't say that's like advice I would necessarily give. Like if looking back now, I'm like, I might have done too much that took care of other people and not enough for myself at that time. Um, but yeah, just one foot in front of the other. And I was like, this is what I'll do right now. And if it's the wrong decision, it is. But like, I'll have to fix it later because that was all I could do. And then slowly, and I mean slowly, things got better. And then eventually from there was like a switch, and then that's when things got like really good, and then things got even better, and then we hit like a very consistent stride, and like eventually it does get better, but man, oh man, it was brutal.
It's tough. We all go through the weeds at some point, but I love that you've come out of it even stronger, it
Mm-hmm.
seems. Would you consider taking on another co-founder? Like, would you want another business partner, or are you like, I'm good solo now?
I'm good.
Right.
No, I'm definitely good now. Honestly, like I learned a lot about myself in the process, and it made my business a lot stronger. And I really like, especially now, like with how fast everything is moving. Like you have AI, and like we have so many tools now. So like I personally wouldn't, at least not in this business. Maybe in a different one, but not in this one.
I have a lot of experience with business partners, getting out, buying out, selling my half to other business partners, being in the exact same realm that you've been in. And there's pros and cons to it. I own my company, the VA Group, currently, um, by myself. And you get to a point, to bottlenecks, where it's easier to bounce ideas off of a business partner
Mm-hmm.
compared to tackling it alone. But there's other solutions out there. Hiring coaches, hiring people that have already been in the position that you want to be in to kind of get through that. On the same token, I personally think if you have a powerhouse of a team,
Mm-hmm.
there's zero point to doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If this is a new business model and you have five amazing killers, four, three, two, whatever that number is, that all have the same vision, that where you want to be, and they've all been there beforehand, not startups, not I'm half in, half out, like we're both all fully into this, you can't lose. You
Mm-hmm.
have amazing people as your team, your foundation, like people that you can bounce ideas off of. You're already starting up here comparatively to the guy that's starting by himself, trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure it out all by himself here.
Totally.
So
Yeah, I
there's
totally agree.
pros and cons to everything. And I
Yeah.
just I've been through all of it before too, but I'm glad that you keep an open mind even for new businesses to have that business partner again,
Yeah.
even with a very big sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's really
No,
it's hard to do.
I think for a new business too, like I would be very open to it, especially like down the road. Like I'm 29 now, but like as I get older and do other businesses and stuff, like eventually it's not really going to be as much about the money. Like right now it is because I have to like build my life and like my own stability. But eventually when it's not, and then you get to have business partners and like work with people that you like and you enjoy and like bounce ideas off each other, I think that's like a huge win in so many ways. So definitely in the future.
I could tell you what that mindset is called. It is called success driven. It's not financially driven. You
Mhm.
are success driven. Now you're focusing on quality. You're focusing on relationships. You're focusing on fine tunement. You're focusing on overseeing and delegating the stuff that you don't have to be in the business.
Mhm.
It's phenomenal. I
Yeah.
promise you.
I am excited for that for sure.
So, Celeste, I have a question that I'm very curious about. Your company now, do you have like teams that you've built out, or is everyone that's kind of in that? Okay, cool. So
Mhm.
how have you guys like scaled up? Like how many people do you have in your company, and what does it take to manage all of those people?
Yeah. So that has actually currently been that's kind of where we're at right now is our new found scale. And we're right now we're growing a little faster than we have like systems in place for. And I can feel it. I'm sure my team can feel it too, where we're kind of like hitting these walls where it's like, oh, we don't have a system in place for that. So like everyone's a little confused. So basically how it works internally is there's five of us that are basically like controlling, coordinating events and doing all the content and managing the accounts and dealing with the clients and all of that. And then everyone who's working on site events is like our events team. So they don't really touch anything except the event itself. But for the group of us who's behind the scenes, and especially like my main coordinator and my main operations girl, we're definitely at that point right now where I'm like, I don't even have an answer for you because I keep hitting the wall with like the systems that we have in place as we're growing because we're doing a lot in like so many different states. So, my coordinator and I are in LA, my operations girl's in Miami, and then my account manager is in LA also, but she's also like focused on the stadium. So it's been a little hectic. So I don't actually have the solution yet. We're trying to figure out new systems for us as we're growing.
Shane, why are you smirking over there?
I I have a solution.
Send it to me.
uh, we'll
Oh, is
talk
it a
about that
virtual
another time.
assistant?
Yes, but it's not an appropriate time to talk about it. But in the same token, you need to hire somebody who's been at a position of where you want to be. I have two business coaches where I'm currently at,
Okay.
and the mindset shift that I've had to get to where, all right, so I have over 500 employees,
Oh
and
wow.
it's tough, but my C-suite runs my entire company. Yet I needed to figure out a way to double down and with AI coming in so I don't get replaced.
Hmm.
And so I hired these coaches to how can I get back into this? And it was just this is what you need to do. These are the monthly goals that you need to attain to get to here. And this is the tools that you need to attain to get to these levels. This is what I'm saying. It's almost like the business partner that I need that's
Hmm.
been to a position like this before that gets me there. Now,
Okay.
me, I have cheap labor and, systems and processes. So if you're looking to offset cost and get that going, that's easy. But you need both elements.
Right. I would agree with that.
And
All
that's
right,
why I was smiling because it was just like, yeah,
I
it's,
get
tra-
this
it's,
turned
it.
into a
it's turning
live
in.
intervention. I love it.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
that's exactly the two people that I need to talk to.
That's why I smiled.
Yeah, it's an interesting there's actually a book and it kind of highlights this, and I try to teach this to a lot of my own clients, right? Is when people are sometimes stuck, we're asking what, and you have a great mentality, right? You're like, "Well, we'll figure it out. What do we have to do?" And the book is literally titled um Who Not What.
Mm,
Mm, it's a great
and
point.
and sometimes it's really a people thing. Like you might be looking at it the right way because you're a founder, but you're the founder that's in the dirt. And then
Hmm.
you got to look at it as the founder that's like standing on top of a platform looking at the dirt, and that's going to be a who question. So apparently, look at that, we're solving business problems live on the air, folks, now.
I like it. That's a first for us. I like that.
No, that is great. I mean, that's perfect timing for me to talk to you guys.
So, but we got to keep the focus on you, Celeste. So
Amen.
here's another question that I have for you. Um, what is your deeper desire? Now, you've mentioned that you have all this impact. You have this great ethos. You want to, eventually get to this point where like super success driven, doing what you want with who you want. What do you see for like your future? Like, let's say you and I call you up in 20 years because I have your phone number, right? So I'm gonna be like, Celeste, it's been a while. It's been 2 decades.
Yeah, 20
How's
years.
life for you? What are you doing? What do you see for yourself at that point?
That is a loaded question because I go back and forth. So, like, one thing, I love owning a business, as you guys know. And I love owning Viper. Having said that, I'm also open to eventually selling Viper, obviously, as every like founder is. And so there's different things that interest me. I think political crisis management is actually really interesting, which is like so
Mm.
random. But I host like political events in my free time, and I just find like that world very fascinating and like very interesting. And I love sitting with like lobbyists and politicians and talking to them about like their strategy, not on like the political, not on the policy side, on the strategy side. And so I find that to be like really fun. So like I have, my little convos with ChatGPT where we talk about like maybe doing that in the future. So like that could be interesting. And then, yeah, I mean, maybe advising for other companies and stuff. I feel like I have a really good grasp on well, I have a really good grasp on leadership because I have so many people that work for me, and I like doing that. And like I really like working with Gen Z because they're so funny and they like look at the world in such a unique way. So it's like actually been really fun for me. I have like one of my employees who's 22 and she's like a case study for me and she's like so fascinating. But I love it because it really like teaches me a lot. But something I like with Gen Z is like they think like me in the way that like they don't necessarily like follow the rules. Like they're a little more open-minded when it comes to like, yeah, you don't have to necessarily follow like this order that we've all been taught. And so yeah, I don't know, maybe advising younger companies, maybe a little bit of like strategy crisis management, um, could be like consulting. I'm kind of open. I don't know exactly what it is. I have this little side brand that I just brought back on Substack, and it's called Smart as Sexy. And eventually, I think it'll be like a live panel series. But right now, it's like just a Substack. But it talks about like emotional intelligence, especially for young girls, and like self development and things. And it's just like real world. It's not textbooky. It's not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like curated content. It's more just like matter of fact.
Mm.
And I say young girls because, like, I was one of them. So it's like more of my focus than like men, I guess. But yeah, so I don't know. It's going to be somewhere in the combination of those three things. I don't know exactly what it will be.
Those are that's great. Well, we're gonna chat more because you and I were trying to connect, but you were in the desert for a month. So we'll we'll
April,
reconnect after this.
anyone who texted me in April, if you're listening, text me again because April took it all from me. It took everything I had.
I love it. And you mentioned one more thing that I really want to ask because a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, like people who are desiring to get into this or who are already in it. You mentioned leadership. I think leadership is so important and so many people don't really understand it. How do you manage? How do you lead? Like what are some of the strategies or tactics that you use to lead a team that you think makes your team good and dynamic?
Yeah, there's a few. One is like I really like when people take ownership to the extent that they want to. Like I have some people that work for me and I know that they're in med school or they're trying to be an actor or something and they just want to show up and go get paid and go home. And so for them I'm like, "Great, here's your role. You're going to do exactly that." But then for my other people who are, they want to take ownership and they want to lead a version of of their own team. I don't micromanage at all. And kind of like my thought process behind it is like, if I trust you as a person, you may make the wrong decision, but if I at least trust your intention, then that's okay with me. Obviously, if I run into a situation where there's like malicious intent, that's problematic for me. But
Mm.
most of the times, if you get to a position where I'm trusting you to lead, it's because I trust your intention. And so for that reason, like I don't micromanage. I'm really like, well, what do you want to do here? And sometimes it gets to a point where I'm like, I'm just going to tell you what to do because I just want to save all of us the time right now. Like it's not going to be an hour-long conversation. But a lot of times I'm like, well, what do you want to do here? Do you want to do it this way? And we get really good ideas like that. And so I love doing it that way. And I always tell my managers too, I'm like, I will not jump in unless you want me to, because I want the team to also respect you and I want you to
Mm.
feel like you have autonomy. If it gets to a certain point where you're like, Sal, lay down the law, then I'll jump in. But other than that, like I really let them lead. And there are moments, trust me, where they make a decision and I'm like, holy shit, I would not have made that decision. Like, whoo. But I'm like, it's not my role, and I just like stand by because I'm like, it's okay. Like they have different leadership styles. So yeah, I don't micromanage. If I trust their intention, then we're good. I just try to steer, I just try to add my 2 cents. But yeah, ultimately I would say that. And like one thing, I mean, this sounds crazy to even say because it would never even like cross my mind, but like I don't yell, I don't scream, like I'm not uh, angry or anything. And like with my team, especially, we work in really high stakes events. And so when we have a lot of celebrity clientele, they tend to get very frazzled and very, emotional, and their teams are very on edge all the time, their assistants and everyone. And so like in every pre-shift, it's like I just remind everyone like you take a breath. We don't absorb their energy. We're very calm. And I don't like the rushed chaotic vibe for anybody. Obviously I need everyone to be diligent and like, move with a cadence, but yeah, it's very relaxed in the sense where I'm like, let's just breathe and make good decisions. I don't want everyone to like be I don't know, with their blood pressure high when they come to work or anything like that. So I would say in that way.
I want to add one fun little comment. So I do a lot of networking events too, celebrities, actors, billionaires, millionaires, and I am very calm, collective, keep my composure. But there's a couple of times where I've been a little starstruck, where I just lost composure, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I gotta grab a picture with you. I'm an amazing big fan of yours. Has that ever happened to you where you're just, because I imagine 99.9% of the time you're there, but you see that one person, you're like, oh my gosh, okay.
Um, it doesn't happen just because I feel like I've been in the industry for so
Wow.
long. Like
So
I've been
there's one
very
out there then.
mean. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, there's people that I admire that like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a huge fan, and I'll tell them too. Like I have like no problem being like, yeah, I'm a huge fan of yours. There's definitely people like I admire in that way, but usually it's not like celebrities. I feel like it's more like if somebody owns like a really successful company or a business or things like this. Like this is controversial now, I don't think it should be, but like because we used to do all of like Elon Musk's private dinners, like he used to have this house in Bel Air and we were doing the door for, and like to me that was like a huge win for us because like I
Oh,
was
yeah.
that's somebody that like I personally admire. Nobody come for me on that. I don't mean that's not a political statement. I just he as an entrepreneur I admire. And so like for me that was very cool when we get clients like that where I'm like, oh, this is actually like really exciting like that we got this client or that this person trusts us. Then I'm like, okay, that's like a win for us. But not in like the celebrity scene. I also know too much about celebrities, so I'm like, I can't. It takes away the appeal.
I love it. Man, Celeste, this has been such an awesome conversation. We're getting close to the end here, so I want to make sure I get to ask you a final few questions. So, our podcast is called The 1%. Not because of the fact that Shane and I are the people you typically hang out with, but because of the fact that we believe that there is a opportunity for everyone to live a version of a 1% life. It's how do you show up and achieve greatly to the extent that you are pushing further than 99% of the people in that category. And so our question to you is, what is your version of a 1% life?
Mhm. Honestly, it comes back to owning my time. It's being able to make the decisions that I want to make. Like I have to be in charge of me at all times. Um, so that's a big part of it. And then the other part of it for me is doing what I say I'm gonna do. Like there are things that I'm
Mm,
interested in. I have random hobbies that like when people hear about, they're like, that is so random. But it's just because like if I'm interested in something, like I actually make time to learn that thing or like go do that thing or try that
mm,
thing. So for me, it's like I just like I wouldn't be able to live like that 1% life if I never actually did the things that I said I wanted to. So like having that and like honoring that for me is really important.
I love it. I love it. And Shane botched this by asking one of the other questions earlier.
It was
Thanks,
relevant.
Shane.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, Shane? It's relevant here at this moment. But you
Wait,
know
wait,
what?
wait. I got
Oh,
one.
what do you
I
got?
want to change it. 90% of the people that listen to our podcast are business owners, entrepreneurs, or wanting to be. Any advice that you can give to them?
See, I was going to say that, but go ahead.
Oh, sure.
I was, Shane.
Honestly, I truly believe like you can have whatever you want in this life. Like I really do believe it. I think you are in full control. I think you are in the driver's seat. And if you don't have it, I maybe you didn't want it bad enough. Maybe you think you want it and you don't.
Mm.
Um, but I really do think I think that you can like build your own reality, and like that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean you won't run into roadblocks, but I really think like there's always a way. And that's all I will say is like, even if you're like, I don't think I can because if this is against me and this is against me, I'm like, I think you can. So that's what I would say.
Nike, just do it.
You're gonna get us sued one day. You gotta stop saying that. I keep telling every time you say it, stop.
I said Nike, they own it. Just do it. I'm using it right in context.
All right, if you say so. All right, Celeste, pending this episode being taken down for copyright infringement, how can people find you, get in touch with you, get more involved in Viper, or even, I don't know if your events are open to people to come to, like, just, I guess, let people know how they can get more involved with what you're doing.
I mean, the best way I would say is Instagram, my personal Instagram, which is just at Celeste Durve. And then I just recently made a Substack. It's Smart as Sexy is what it's called. And so that is like my little brainchild at the moment, where you can just kind of like read some of my ideas and whatnot. And eventually I think we'll do live panels for that. It's not something I've started planning, but I think it'll happen. So I think following me on Instagram and then Substack is the best. I always post hiring opportunities as well for Viper if anyone's interested.
All right, there you have it. Check out Smart and Sexy, unless you're stupid and ugly. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. They're gonna come for me too, Celeste. Everybody's gonna get you over Elon and me for that one. But
I know, you gotta be so careful with what you say these days.
That's okay.
I'm not responsible for any of this. I stay out of this.
You're already getting sued by Nike. Don't worry about you. You got bigger problems than us. So, Celeste, stick around for a minute after the show. I got something to tell you. Thanks so much for joining us here. I had a great time. Really appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your experiences with us. Folks, there you have it. Go check out what Celeste is doing. See how you can get involved with some of the Viper events or Smart and Sexy. And make sure to tune in for another episode of the 1% podcast. Like, comment, share, follow, subscribe, and let us know what you thought. Until next time, I'm your host, Vin.
And I'm Shane.
And that was Celeste. See you, everybody.